Good evening, good evening, good evening. All right, family, this is another podcast with your host, Sister Nayyirah, and the Heal on Purpose podcast, hosted by Repair of the Black Family, where we are striving to eradicate generational trauma, drama, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging behavior patterns, providing you with effective solutions. Now, listen. You all tune in every week, and every week I strive to bring on a guest that is going to be able to bring forth, something good for all, but specifically for the culture. And I'm excited tonight because I have a guest that is a good friend of mine, right? We are comrades in the struggle of freedom, justice, and equality for the resurrection of the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical when it comes to raising our consciousness in our community. And tonight I have the beautiful honor and pleasure to bring forth to you a good friend by the name of Bernard Bonner, who is a resident of Houston, Texas. All right now. He's a resident of Houston, Texas. Bernard Bonner is a businessman. He owns a business. He owns several businesses, as a matter of fact. Business Development International, Inc. He's an investor. He's an inventor. He is a father of his beautiful pride and joy daughter, Sophia Bonner, who is going to be the #1 tennis player in the world in his book. He's the son of Alice Bonner, who is the first.
I'm going to record that just anytime anybody wants to introduce me. I'm just going to use that, okay?
Yes, Bernard. Just introducing you is definitely a joy, but to say your daughter's name, it just brought so much affinity, a love, and a compassion because I know how you are about Sophia, okay?
Yes, Sophia.
I knew that I was going to get a smile on your face. So I just want to welcome you to the podcast, Bernard. And for my guests that don't know you, I gave a brief synopsis of who you are, but Bernard, let's go ahead and let me hear from your mouth. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners audience, who you are and something that you think we should know about you.
Wow, that's such a great question because, Nayyirah, I don't really talk much about myself, and it's really hard to get me out in the open around people. A lot of people see me, they see that I'm very, very private, but yet the people that know that I'm the guy that makes everything happen, So I'm the guy, I am a true example of the guy that's behind the scenes who makes sure that everything happens. I'm not necessarily the guy that's out on the stage, with the lights and those things. I'm the guy that very few people know about, but the guy who's orchestrating it, making sure that it goes right. And it doesn't go without me. So that's who I am.
Yes, I truly, understand and can bear witness to that guy behind the scene, as a businessman, and I know that you are, but you're a consultant. And I know with me owning my business, there's many times that I had to come to you, to get consulting, and you give very, very, very good consultations.
Well, yeah, and because with consulting and helping people, I'm almost 30 years now into that. Well, yeah, right at around 30 years I've been doing that successfully, wow. Analyzing businesses. And I probably analyzed in my career probably over 300 to anywhere from 300 to 350 businesses, from wholesalers, retailers, manufacturers, contractors, ranging from size of a mom and pop shop to upwards to $200 million. So I have been in the field a lot of years. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And I've been responsible for helping several businesses that were mom and pop shops become now the largest in the nation.
Wow.
In their particular field, in their particular business. So
Wow. And we're gonna definitely get more into that to find out like what's your successful actions, what do you use and how do you, like what is your successful action? So we definitely want to get into that. So before we go to that aspect, and tonight I know we're talking about, a very a subject that's, it can be a little touchy in our community, but I'm excited to bring it forth. Dianetics and Scientology, is it for the culture? And before I get into that, or as I get into that, what is it like growing up? What was it like for you growing up in Houston as a young Black man?
So I was a true example of even though I was a little bit older, but I was a true example of the Cosby Show. My
Mm.
my which would have been upper to middle class Black, but my father was one of the first 3 Black attorneys in the city of Houston. And my mother was the first Black woman judge in the state of Texas.
Mm.
So it wasn't too bad me coming up, okay? We
Mm-hmm.
lived in a place which is called Third Ward, McGregor area, which happens to be probably one of the top 2 to 3 affluent Black areas probably in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But yet right down the street, we still got other things in the hood, you know what I mean? So
Okay.
I had the opportunity to grow up and experience it all. I really did. Now, one of the things as a result of my mother and father being well known in the city, uh, people knew me, but
Mm-hmm.
there was a huge expectation of me as a result of people knowing who my parents were. That was one of the things that it definitely provided me some huge advantages, but it also came with a lot of responsibility because the expectation level was extremely high because of who they were.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's all, and that's a whole different level of things. Like a Michael Jordan's son would understand that because he's growing up as Michael Jordan's son, so everybody expects him to be great at basketball, and if he's not, he's talked about. So I definitely felt that pressure.
Yeah.
And, with the kids that grew up around me, their parents were affluent or doctors or lawyers and those things too. But, some of them couldn't handle that pressure, which was just interesting to me. But some of them just couldn't handle it, and got into drugs or did other things in life or, didn't reach the level of success that their parents did, but it is what it is.
Yeah. This is a very interesting story. And I, as long as we've been friends and, working together in the struggle, I never really heard your story. And it's very interesting. It's like something that I admired, right? Just to hear your background. And so growing up under those, conditions, when I talk to most Black men and just even in my family and people that I know, they come up with the struggle, it's some kind of, going to jail, doing this, doing drugs, this, that, and the other, but you had a different type of pressure.
Yeah.
How did you handle that pressure? Like, what was your mechanism, your coping mechanism to come up, with that type of pressure coming up through the hood or being near the hood and having friends that went the opposite direction, but you still had to maintain a certain status quo? What did you do to handle that pressure?
Well, I think that my mother was instrumental with my grandparents because in Third Ward as a community, you know, in Houston, Third Ward is a community, but there was a very, very high level of expectation in the sense of, yeah, we felt the pressure, but okay, it's the pressure. Who cares? This is what you got to deal with,
Right.
and you're in a better position than most of us are, and we expect you to do well. Now I was still subjected to anything that a young Black man had to deal with and go through because of my friendship with others. The At the time I was growing up, which was the 70s and 80s for me, 90s, you know, I had to deal with all of those things that came in that particular time. But I think my mother, my parents did a really good job of setting that expectation and always demanding a level of excellence from me. You know, with the fact that they could acknowledge and care for me from the standpoint of, okay, we see you experiment with this, but hey, this is just what it is. And another instrumental thing that I must acknowledge is a cousin of mine named Troy. And Troy was like, man, we bonders. He gave, and when my cousin said that, that gave me a sense of pride to carry forth. Like, no, I'm a bonder, you know, and yeah, I do well, and I am a top level, you know. So that was very, very true, and I see that even in my professional life now. That tactic that was used, that thing that I used to carry myself through, is still very, very effective. And regardless to whatever your circumstances, situations are, if you're a parent, if you're an employer, it's to put those levels of expectations on others and demand a level of excellence from them. You know, no one's demanding excellence anymore from others.
That's Yeah, that's so, like, that is so true. Like, I'm sorry to cut your communication, but that's true, and that's key. You know, we do it for our last name. You know, I remember.
You know, you even look at, you know, TikTok and relationships, and it's like everybody's just like, well, you know, it just is what it is. Bull, no, this is what I expect of you. And yeah, and it's okay for people who care about each other and love each other. And if you're a parent, or if you're even, you know, not the parent, but you having the expectations of what your parents should do. I think it's very important that we should expect things from each other. You know, people are like, well, I don't want to expect anything and get disappointed. No, expect it and demand what you expect.
Right.
You know,
right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. And, you know, I remember coming up, Brother Bernard, in my neighborhood, you knew, like, our last name was Green. So you knew the Greens, you knew the Smiths, and, you know, they wanted to know who was your family. In this day and time, we really don't see that. So, but when we're talking about doing it for the culture, you know, I believe that we should bring that back, or, you know, have it as a staple in the community, you know, ingraining that in our children. We the Bonners, right? We the Muhammad's, or, you know, this, that, and the other, because it gives you that sense of ownership.
That's right.
And so as I look at the repair of the Black family and hearing you talk, and I hope my listening audience is tuning into this, you know, the family is a business.
It is a business.
A business consultant. I believe that you just gave us some consultations on what to put in the family unit that's a missing component.
Yes, it is a business, and you have to treat it as a business, and you have to communicate. You have to have levels of expectations. You have to have hats that people wear within the relationship or within the family. You know, responsibilities that are carried out, and expectation of course it is. That's how you have any degree of success doing anything on this planet.
Absolutely. And so let's go right into family. You know, your father, you're a single father, you raising a daughter, which is very, very, you know, you don't commonly see that in the Black community, where the man take on and raise his daughter. Like, tell us a little bit about that. How's that for you?
Well, I'll tell you something, Nayyirah, and it's really interesting, but you know what I am seeing? I am actually seeing a tremendous amount of, over the last probably year to 2 years, of men paying very, very close attention to their children.
Okay.
You know, and I am seeing you know, I don't know if it's a shift, but I am really, really seeing us brothers like really stepping up to the plate nowadays and coming to provide for our families, take care of our families. And any women out there who are happen to being not married to their baby's father, I would highly recommend that they allow that to happen more because the men are more now than ever. And even in talking to young men, because I do mentor young men, they're like, no, I want to do this and I want to take care of my children. So I think that dynamic is really, really changing now. It really is, you know, in terms of what's actually happening. Here's a perfect example. Last week, I took my daughter to Busch Gardens when we were in Tampa, and we got on a roller coaster. So it was a guy. It looked like his daughter, and he was on a date with another woman with her daughter. You know, because the daughters look totally different, you know, from the father. Could be the case, but I'm assuming that wasn't both his children. So we were all getting off on the roller coaster together, and me and Sophia were walking ahead of them, and the two girls were behind us, and then the man and the woman were there. So as we're walking through the gate, I hold the gate open for the two little girls, you know, and they grabbed the gate, and then I just went on and walked through. But as I walked through, the gentleman saw what happened. He told the little girls, he's like, look, did you all tell the man thank you? And the little girls were like, well, no. And the man was like, well, wait a minute. Anytime a man opens up the door for you or so on and so forth, you know, you thank him for doing that. You know, and I'm walking with my daughter. I just turned around and gave him the peace sign, you know, but it's like that's the level of change that's starting to happen now in our community. And Black men are stepping up to the plate and taking responsibility for the welfare, the care of our children and our children's future. I'm seeing it a lot now. I really am.
And that's beautiful. You know, you're in a culture where you are definitely exposed to that because you are a Black man, right? So you can see that, which I'm just going to use myself as an example, that I'm not able to see readily, right? Just like a common thing. So that's actually refreshing to hear that Black men, from your perspective, is, and I'm not saying that we're not, but just hearing it come from you, like there's a change. Your screen went off. There's a change in the dynamics, especially when we're in a culture where through the music, through the TVs, through, you know, different mediums, there is an attack on the family, and in particular the Black family. So to hear you say that and to be an example of that is definitely I would
Can
say
you? I'm sorry. I lost the ability to hear you, and
okay.
I'm trying to.
All right. It's okay. I can hear you. I can hear you. And if you all are coming in right now, we're actually talking about Dianetics and Scientology. Is it for the culture? Right now, we're just getting a little bit of the background with our dear brother Bernard, who is a businessman, a single father, and we was talking about the dynamic of family being a business. And Bernard, while you was gone, I was saying that it's actually refreshing to see you and hear you speak from the perspective that Black men are stepping up, Black men are changing, and there's a shift in our communities, especially when there is an agenda, Brother Bernard, for an attack on the family unit, right? There's an agenda when it comes to the music. You can't hear me? Okay. When it comes to the music, when it comes to the TV, he's having some sort of problem here. When it comes to the music, when it comes to the TV, and um, when it comes to the family unit. So maybe what he has to do is, so we're going to keep this going, Bernard. And so to hear that you say that is really, really good. So as you all are coming in, I'm going to definitely.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So I don't know what happened.
Can you hear me? Okay. So as you all come in, I'm going to ask that you all, you know, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop questions in the comments and make comments so that we can continue on. All right. So we're going to let Bernard get that straight, get that together. Hold on. All right. So again, I do believe anytime you're doing something great,
Yeah,
y'all,
I gave it.
things,
So it has the mic. Yep.
yes. So anytime you're doing something great, you
That's
have
what
some
I'm.
going on.
So we were
Yeah.
going along.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so you hear me.
Yeah.
Good.
Can you
I
hear me?
just cannot hear you.
Okay. All right. I don't know what's happening here. So I'm going to say this. Anytime you're doing something great, it's going to always have some sort of difficulty factor. All right. So, but you know what? One of the things that I have learned to
Do
do
we have to start
is
over?
one of the things that
Oh my
I've learned to do is to carry on. So
we're
you
going
keep going,
along and
you keep going. So
okay.
with that being said, we're gonna keep going. And so we decided to do this particular program as he gets that worked out. We decided to do this particular program tonight because we want to focus in on solutions that can be beneficial to the family. And as I think about mental health and what we see going on in our communities today and what we can use as effective solutions, I do believe what we're bringing tonight will be a solution to help us with modern day solutions. And so tonight, I want to thank y'all so much for bearing with us. You know what? I'm telling you, like, we doing something great here. So I want to thank my listening audience. Y'all, one of the things I can say, y'all some troopers, okay? So as you're listening to this, if you are on Facebook, go ahead and drop me some yellow hearts. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe. Y'all make some comments. And if you're on the podcast, just go ahead and give yourself some kudos because you being a trooper tonight. And so, Brother Bernard, for the third time, just leave it alone. For the third time, I'm gonna say this. It's just really refreshing to not only hear you say about the Black man and a shift and stepping up to take care of the family, take care of the children. It's also refreshing because there is an agenda, right? When it comes to the Black family, through the media, through the music, there is an agenda. So for you to say that, I know that it's refreshing for me to hear, and I pray that it's refreshing for my audience to hear. Because on this podcast, one of the key things that we hone in on, Brother Bernard, is eradicating generational trauma. Right? Eradicating generational drama, right? Eradicating the limiting beliefs where we've been told and conditioned for so long that we can't have, we don't have, and all of these different things. So to have an example of where we're going in the future, right? In the now and in the future, I just want to say thank you, which brings me up to the topic that we are discussing tonight as it relates to Dianetics and Scientology. Is it for the culture? Now, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this conversation because one, it's a controversy in our community, right? But two, we also know that it's effective. And so to have you here from the culture in Dianetics, using Scientology as a Scientologist, I definitely wanted to bring you on to be able to talk about it so that we can, I'm gonna use my term. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay? So we can set the record straight.
Yeah, let's set the record straight. Let's set it straight.
As it relates to us as a culture of people using this, one of the things that I know, just let's start out with Dianetics, because in our community, mental health is a button, right? We hear this all across the TV shows. It's just everywhere. And using Dianetics for me has been very effective. So let's just start with you, Brother Bernard. How did you come into the technology of Mr. L. Ron Hubbard with the use of Dianetics and becoming a Scientologist?
Wow. So here's a good one. So I used to play pro tennis, and a gentleman named Evander Holyfield, heavyweight boxer champion, used to sponsor me. And I was playing tennis and I was, doing so-so. But I started having like really, really bad results. I got injured, and things were just not going well for me for like a whole year and a half. Okay. And before that, things were on the upshoot and things were going really great. And I couldn't figure out, wait a minute, why is my life not going right? And at the time, you know, um, I was a very adamant reader of the Bible or a Christian. And I guess I could still say that about myself to this day. But I was like very, very heavily, religious person. And the things that I was going through when I would go through my study time at night, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why am I experiencing this when the word is saying that I should be experiencing this?
Mm.
This doesn't make much sense to me. And, why am I going through these tough and rough times? Something's not making sense. So anyway, to make a long story short, I was in San Diego, California, because I used to live in San Diego at that time. And things were not going well for me at all in my career, in my life, anything. And I got my girlfriend at the time. I told her, hey, I'm going to go up to Los Angeles because I was watching a guy named Fred Price. I don't know if you remember Fred Price on TV, Christensen. I love Fred Price, amazing guy. Had a beautiful message about faith. And I went up there to see Fred Price, and he wasn't available. So I ended up seeing an associate pastor. So as I'm there seeing the associate pastor, we're talking, and I'm telling him about everything that's going on in my life. And he's asking me a lot of questions. He was very, very interested in me. And I appreciate, even thinking on him now, I really appreciate him too. But what happened in that conversation is probably about after an hour and a half, 2 hours, he said, well, maybe this is something that God just wants you to go through. As soon as he said that, I said, It was like something clicked. And I looked at him, I shook his hand, and I said, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I grabbed my girlfriend and I got out of the door. Now, what I realized at that time when he said that, he didn't know. He didn't have an answer to tell me. Now, that's not to say that, God didn't want me to go through those things, but him saying that to me when I'm going to him as a pastor to get solutions, it just let me know at that time that he wasn't the guy to provide or give me those solutions. Mm-hmm. So I left there, and me and my girlfriend drove back to San Diego. Now, things between me and her weren't going well at the time at all because of all the other stuff that was going on in my life. And at the time, I used to smoke marijuana, weed. So me and her had gotten to this huge argument around 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe about 2 or 3 days later. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I got out of the bed because I didn't want to talk with her anymore. And I went and sat down in front of the TV and I rolled up a joint. So I'm literally sitting there and I started smoking, and I turned on the TV. And as I turned on the TV, I see this infomercial about this thing called Dianetics. And I was like, Dianetics. And I remember Dianetics because a friend had tried to give me the book maybe about 2 or 3 years before. And I remember I got the book, I read like one page, fell asleep, never remembered the book. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this is this thing, Dianetics. I was like, let me just watch and see what this is, having no idea what it was. And I'm literally sitting there and I'm watching this thing on this infomercial. And Nayyirah, it was actually answering questions. It was actually breaking down who, what, where, when, and why. Now, at the time, I'm definitely a man of faith and had been a man of faith all my life and had accomplished a huge degree of success with faith. But I was also like, well, why do I have to use my faith when I can know? I don't have to ask God for everything. I can know what I need to do and just do that. and leave God for when I need God. Okay.
Be the God of your own salvation.
Yeah, I was like, let me. So saw this thing, and I was literally, and it made so much sense. It made so much sense. And literally, probably about a day or two later, called the 1-800 number, went into the place, left San Diego, came to Houston because I ended up losing everything. I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost everything, and I was on top. And having to come home and people like, man, what happened to you? How was you on top and now you here? But it wasn't the funnest thing to go through. But I ended up going to a Hubbard Dianetics Foundation. And as soon as I pulled up, I saw this thing called Church of Scientology. I was like, man, what's this? What's that?
Right.
Wait a minute now. I ain't, I'm Jesus. I ain't trying to do no Church of Scientology. What's all of that? Man, come on, man.
Right.
I'm trying to, I ain't here for all of that. I'm here just to, what's that stuff I saw on TV? And that's literally the way I walked in there.
Right.
The lady was like, fine, we won't talk to you about Scientology. I was like, no, I don't want to hear nothing about that. Leave that alone.
Right.
I'm strictly Jesus.
Right.
So, and then taking this personality test, and I took this personality test, and this woman at the end of the personality test is there, and she's telling me by reading this personality test what's going on in my life. And I'm sitting up there like, how does this woman know that? And it was so accurate that I still had to acknowledge the accuracy, and it made me curious, but I was also like, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, how you all up in my business like that? That ain't, hold on, wait a minute, woman. So the lady asked me a question. She says, do you do marijuana? I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, well, is it okay that I show you a book about marijuana? And I was like, well, that's cool. Because I was high before I even went up in there. So I'm reading, there's this little bitty booklet about this big, about 10, 12 pages about marijuana. She gets this booklet. I start reading the book. And as I'm reading the book, I'm seeing the effects of marijuana, it has on the mind and the body. And I'm literally seeing in my mind, wait a minute, this is the same stuff that I'm dealing with and going through in my life right now. And literally that day, made the decision after being educated on what it was doing to me. Man, I don't want that. And ain't touched it since, literally. And I still have friends to this day that was in 1996, who still smoke weed. And I do have friends, because you can't, I tried to educate people on, but if a person wants to do what they want to do, that's okay. They have the right to do that. And just because they smoke weed doesn't mean that I can't call them my friend. You know what I mean?
Right. I understand with the culture.
Yeah, it's the culture, us. Us, Yeah. So that's how I got in. And then I had to wait several weeks to do Dianetics because of the drug usage that I'd had. But I did it and my life turned around. And then literally, things started going back right again for me, which was what I was used to. And then several weeks after that, I was like, walked in, I was like, man, what's this Scientology stuff?
Wait, before we go into there, and I definitely want to go there, right? When you went in and you had your first session, that first Dianetics session, how was that? Like, what was that like for you? Because here it is, you going in, you're in a new terrain, and you sit down and you have this Dianetics, which is the modern science to mental health, right? Through the soul, you have this counseling session. How was that for you as a Black man doing this particular counseling session with this tool called Dianetics?
Well, it was a little different for me in this way. Because I had to wait several weeks. What I did is I trained. on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they started me to do. They said, well, you got to wait a couple of weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you to take the Dianetics seminar. You're going to learn how to do it to others, and then we're going to get you to do it on several people. So literally, I learned how to do it, and then I was helping other people. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So by the time I was ready. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. All this other stuff that happened for everybody else, I know I'm going to get something out of this. Amazing. Amazing.
So you was like Jesus. You was performing miracles.
I was Jesus. I was Jesus, capital J, with a capital S at the end, with an exclamation point. Jesus.
Yes.
Yes.
And I say that because, you know, we know that when you study the book of Dianetics, you learn about those demons and you learn how to cast those demons out. Yeah. So, and that's why I used it and coined the phrase. So you was like Jesus, you was casting out demons in others before you even got the opportunity to cast out the demons in yourself. Come on now, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about that. You know what? That's the power in, you know, being what I would say in the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister was Farrakhan talk about saviors. So you became a savior before you was able to even get your own saving done. Wow.
Yeah. And not only that, but after I'd done it to about 5 or 6 people, I became less worried about my own.
Wow.
Because I understood what was going on. And I was actually improving already just as a result of training and helping others.
Wow. Wow. That's what you call a servant, you know?
Yeah.
So, wow. Thank you for sharing that. And so now, as we moving into, okay, so now you got this thing Dianetics, you done trained up on that, you done got you some casting out your demons with the Dianetics, getting you some relief, unburdening yourself. And now you go in and you're like, okay, what is this thing called Scientology, which is your question that you ask? What was the response? Well, let me ask you this, because we're talking about for the culture before you even go there. Because we experienced this. You're going into this church as a Black man. It's a lot of white people, right, in the church. How did you?
And the first question I asked is, why are these goddamn? Oh, that was the first question I asked is, why are these white people smiling?
Right. Let's go there.
Why they so happy?
Right.
But this says something ain't right, because you ain't nobody happy all the time. Literally, this was me.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody happy all the time.
Teach.
What's going on around here? What's wrong with these people? I don't trust them. Not knowing that, they weren't the problem. I was. Because you can be happy.
All the time.
And you can be happy all the time, like I am now. And I see people now, I'll be like, man, I know where you at. And they don't understand me. They're like, dude, you're tripping. You're tripping. Yeah. And until you get to that point, you really cannot get to, and you just got to allow a person to think what they think and believe what they believe, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's nothing that you can understand until you actually experience it. But that was my thing. I'm you know, the reason why I can talk to people about Dianetics and Scientology, because you're talking to the person that was the biggest skeptic in the sense of from religion, or, you know, a different culture from my own, you know, to my experiences, everything. You know, it's like, oh, heck no. And the thing for me was like, I knew that there was something powerful about the technology and I wanted it. But, you know, I was like, I didn't trust white people at that time. I was like, no, you know. And I'm not trying to say that as a bad thing. I'm just trying to say that in terms of where I was at the time. And, you know, and I see that even now today. And it might be even a little bit worse than what I was, you know, in terms of our culture, the lack of trust, and those things of wanting to even help you.
Absolutely. And that has been my experience, you know, as one that, you know, that highly uses the tech in my life. You know, the tech has literally, I say, it saved my life twice. You know, the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad saved my life one time, and then hey, I was back on a bed where I needed to be resuscitated. Okay. And so using the technology of the Dianetics and Scientology, hey, Mr. Farrakhan gave me the tool, and him and Mr. Hubbard pulled me out and gave me life twice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can truly say, in my own phrase, I'm coining this. This is my coin. I was reborn again. Okay. Yeah. So, because I got an opportunity to go in and have what I would say, you know, as I'm going up in the levels, spiritual surgery, so that I can be a better Muslim, a better mother, a better, you know, grandma, nana, and even serving the people. I'm truly happy. And that's why, you know, I said, wow, you know, we need this for the culture. We got to be able to bring it forth and clear up the misunderstandings and introduce, right? So that's what this podcast is all about, because what I see, what I've been able to experience is eradicating those generational traumas with the use of this technology, getting to those hidden sources, the things, you know, sometimes as people, but in particular Black people, we want to deal with the things that we know, but what about the things that you don't know? Right. And that's what the technology has helped me with.
So one of the things from even listening to you talk that I want to share, and because we're still kind of on Dianetics, is that, yeah, there's a huge push with mental health now. Now, Dianetics is a science for mental health. And most people that haven't seen Dianetics probably don't know what Dianetics is, but the thing I'll tell anyone out there listening is this. Hey, there's billions and billions and billions of dollars being spent on the pushing of mental health right now. Okay? Not via Dianetics, but through psychiatry, psychology, drug usage, all of these other things. And the thing that I'm going to share with you guys is that they're experimenting with our culture, because whatever our culture does determines what's cool for the rest of the planet. Okay, so you know, you see it, and I would challenge any Black person or anyone a part of our culture, and that could be anyone of any culture, I mean color, right, to see, well, look at how things have gone over the past 25 years. If you're 30 and over, have things gotten better? Have you seen more and more people get on drugs? Have you seen more and more people, you know, with this mental therapy that they're saying to use? You know, is it curing them? You know, are their stats going up, or are they on drugs and have to stay on drugs, and you have to stay on drugs because there's nothing that can be done about it? You know, it's really nasty out there. And I would tell anyone this, hey, and I get this all the time because I deal with people on the front line of Dianetics and Scientology. And I say this, look, I'll listen to anything that you got to say about Dianetics and Scientology. I'll listen to it. But this is where I challenge you. Just show me something that works. Just show me something that works. I know you talking bad about Dianetics, or you talking bad about Scientology. Okay, good. You go and show me something that works, and then I'll bring this to the table. Let's compare the results. Let's just keep it simple, because I don't want to take the time to get into no argument with you or no long drawn out process of who, why, ha, ha, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Let's just put it up to the table. And you know what's crazy? Anyone that I've ever said that to, they can't bring nothing to the table. They can't bring nothing tangible to the table. I can.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's how I'll shut it down. I'm like, look, because you know what? I'm interested in that which works. And you know what? I'm willing to look at something to see if it works. The thing that I'm very certain on, and no one can mess with my mind because I've been through it. I know what Dianetics has done for me. I know what Dianetics has done to another. I know the amount of years that I was out there searching, looking for something, and looking and looking and looking and trying everything, but it still didn't produce a result. From women to drugs to, you know, looking in a church to see if I can find the answer there. And I found, and the answer that I was looking for is not necessarily my belief.
Mm-hmm.
The answer was, well, wait a minute. How do I do this better? How do I overcome this? Give me the tools that I can use in my life to make my own life better. So I don't have to use faith and just believe every single day. No, man, what's the recipe for getting this done? Okay, good, I got it. Now watch out. Watch me do it and do it really, really well. That's what I was looking for. And that's what, for me, as well as many, many others, Dianetics and Scientology provides.
Wow. Solutions.
Yeah.
And I can bear witness to that. One of the key words that you said is give me the recipe. Give me something that works, something that I can use, something that I can apply and get the results that I'm looking for beyond my belief system. Yeah. So it goes back to this, Brother Bernard. This is what I hear for those that's listening, especially those of us that's, you know, people of the word, you know, don't just be hearers of the words, doers. And so now you was able to get something that now you can take that belief system and be found doing it and getting the exact results that you desire, right. your outcome. So thank you for sharing that. And I just want to go back to this point. So you go in the church and you like, what is this Scientology? There's some people that's listening right now, or you know, they like, what are they talking about? What is this Scientology? So let's just start with the word, because I find that most people don't even know the word, what the word means.
So Scio means knowledge or knowing. Ology means study of. So Scientology is basically learning how to learn or learning how to know. It's really simple. But the thing that a Scientology does, or a Scientologist does, is a Scientologist is one who changes the conditions of himself or others by using Scientology technology. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, everybody that you and I talk to have problems, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing that we are always constantly asking them is, okay, well, good. Can you solve it? Well, what are you doing to change it? And if you can't solve that problem, you're stuck. And you'll be there where you are, and you can go years and 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 years, going circles and circles, or trying stuff and 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 trying stuff, and you're still in the same position. What Scientology or Scientologists has the ability to do is to change your condition using Mr. Hubbard's technology. And it's very, very effective. That's why I can go into a business that's failing and turn it around under 90 days. That's why I can help a person who wants to accomplish something that's never accomplished that particular goal in 10 years. And I can help them to reach that goal in 2 days. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm special, it's that I'm trained. And the technology itself is amazing. And so, you know, I'll put myself up against anybody. You know, now I am a bad dude and I am special, but I'm trained.
Right. Let's talk about that. You know, you keep using that keyword training, and you've used this training, as you just said, in your businesses. What would you say a person that's, you know, let's talk about the business aspect of it, okay? So you've taken the technology of Mr. L. Ron Hubbard, you've developed many businesses with the use of it, right? There's a lot of business trainings out here. What would you say is the difference between the other business training and what you have with Mr. Hubbard's training that made me
the know-how and the technology that we have is far superior than anything that they use. Far superior. See, let's just take a business. And let's say we have 30 people in the business. Outside of the product or service, you know, you have marketing, you have accounts receivable, accounts payable, you know, you have production, you have the executive, you have all of these different things, right? But what really determines the success or the failure of the business? It's people. Now, systems, methods, procedures, controls are all important.
Correct.
But there's something below that. People.
That's right.
Can you get this person to agree? Can you get this person to understand why they should do it? Can you get this person to understand that the behavior that they're currently doing is hurting themselves and others? If you don't understand people, which is what Dianetics and Scientology gives you amazing and fantastic tools, well, you can go in there talking about systems, procedures, and all this other stuff, but you get 10% improvement. I can get 300% improvement. I can take a business from $3 million to $10 million within 12 to 18 months. Why? Because I know how to positively affect each individual in that business. And not only that person, but that person's family.
That's key. That's key because, yeah, you're right. And I'm agreeing with you because I'm looking at the study of, we was talking about training, I'm looking at it. We study with Dianetics and Scientology, the science of human behavior.
Yeah.
And so you know the behavior of each individual in their personal life, their family life, their business life, their community, however, and then you help them. We help them change their condition.
Or get what they want.
Correct.
Because why is anybody upset? Why is anybody disappointed? Because they're not getting what they want.
That's correct. Correct.
And if you're not getting what you want, the first assessment is this: do you know how?
Correct. Correct.
The second assessment would be, do you have all the tools and the things necessary? But the first assessment is, do you know how? 99.9% of the people don't know how.
Correct.
Dianetics and Scientology deals with how to.
Correct.
So anyone can talk, blah, 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 hoorah, ha, ha. I'll run circles around them because I know how.
I got it. So the title of this, thank you. The title of this show is Dianetics and Scientology. Is it for the culture? What is your direct answer with this?
So let's talk about the culture. I'm going to use words to describe the culture. Marvelous, amazing, fantastic, drugged out, promiscuous, look out for each other, don't snitch, we going up, we ain't messing with them. See, when we say the culture, it involves everything. If you look at your family, you got everything within your family. You got the person that's doing really, really well. Then you got Uncle Charlie who owns dope, you know, and you got the couple that's doing well, and you got the couple over here that's fighting. It's everything. The culture is a mix of everything. It really, really is. And what's crazy is, and I want everyone to understand this, what makes it worse is your inability to admire it for what it is. It's the most amazing things for me when people get upset about something that exists within our own culture. Hey, it is what it is. We're going to have great rap. We're going to have bad rap. We're going to have positive rap. We're going to have hood. We're going to have it all. Why? Because it is what it is. And the moment a person can't experience something, that's when it has a negative effect or hold on them. It really, really does. So, and what Dianetics and Scientology has done for me personally is help me to understand things better, help giving me a more of a willingness to acknowledge those things. And as a result of that, it doesn't have an effect on me. It doesn't pull me down. It doesn't have me buried in it at all. And, you know, just to be able to admire something for what it is, that's how you can actually change it. You know, I was working with some coaches the other day, and these guys were Division I football coaches at a team here in Houston that's very, very well known. And I was watching their coaching, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. They were being critical. As a coach, I'm not going to ever point out the fault. I'm going to point out what the guy is doing well. Hey, man, that's really well. Good. Let's practice on what you do well, and let's do more of that. We as a culture or a society tend to focus on or find what's at fault, especially in relationships. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking for something bad. There it is. You're la. Yeah, and that's what everybody expects. But that's why the results are what they are, because you're focusing on the fault. You know, in Scientology, Dianetics and Scientology, I've learned, no, you don't focus on the fault. Everybody got faults. Everybody got weaknesses. Let's focus on the strength.
Right.
And let's focus on what you do well, and let's make you be able to do whatever you do well, do it 10 times better.
That's right. That's right. Goes back to validate the good, you get more good. You know,
validate the good, you get more good. And you know, I gotta slap my hand because, you know, I've been in a relationship and I'm critical of my partner. Well, yeah, because it's easy to do that, but it's so true. It's like, ain't no bad. You know, what we starting to label it bad, and now that we label it bad, we can't stand no bad. You know, because all of us are pure and we're perfect. You know. No, it's like, hey, it is what it is, but validate good. And more importantly, not only validate what others do well, but validate yourself.
That's the part. That
validate
right there.
What you do well, and validate when you have a win. That's what's really, really key and important, because, man, we as a culture are so unwilling to validate ourselves and validate what we've done right. And we're always our biggest critic and finding fault in what we've done wrong. And wait a minute, okay, good. You gave me 100 things of what you're doing wrong. Can you give me 1 or 2 of what you did right?
What you did right, yes,
Yeah.
That part. I don't know why these balloons and stuff is coming up on your screen. This is the first time I've seen this, so that's definitely different. Okay, yes. And we're talking about, you know, yeah, validate the good, because it is true in our culture. You know, if you give yourself any kind of validation, now you're arrogant, or, you know, you're prideful, or, you know, all of these things that don't allow a person to see their value, right? or to not just see it, but acknowledge it. I believe in my experience, personal, right? And dealing with others and working with others, we shrink when it comes to us, when it comes to looking at the good.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to say that, or, you know, this, that, you know, what other people going to think if I think this of myself, you know, appreciate you know, going through the process, learning the technology of Dianetics and Scientology, because it helped me to see that even in my walk of life, my self-worth. And it's okay. It's okay for me. It's okay for me to have a sense of value, and it don't take away from nothing else or nobody else. Right? That I can really put myself on the top of the priority list and not at the bottom.
You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
Is this. I was talking to one of my clients. I've got a client, his name is Will Roundtree. This brother is really helping people in the financial area in terms of teaching them financial literacy and helping them with real estate, learn how to do real estate and put money in real estate. Amazing young brother. And I definitely would love to get him on the show with you too, you know, because anyone here would get a huge benefit from what he's doing. But here was the conversation we had, and I reminded him of something. I reminded him of what he was doing, but I'm going to remind you of what you're doing, and I'm going to remind you of what we're going through. Our culture, we're all first generation.
Mm.
We're first generation.
Mm-hmm.
We're first generation to open our own business. We're probably the first generation to go to college. We're probably the first generation to amass wealth. We're probably the first generation to get into real estate. We're all first generation.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very few of us in our culture are second, third, or fourth generation. And we do have prime examples of other cultures being third, fourth, and fifth generation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are first generation. Now, I said that to say this. Remember, the internet is probably less than 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Less than that, or maybe around that age. And probably within a huge push within the last 4 to 5 years, getting information over the internet now is actually seen as good. So literally, all of us first generation people, we're now in what we call the information age.
Mm-hmm.
And the information age is probably less than 15 years old or 10 years old. And we're now just getting access to information that can actually positively benefit us or change our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I did walk into the Church of Scientology, when I was ready to look and discover of Scientology, and the first thing I did was I saw these big green books on the shelf, and I opened up one of those books. As soon as I opened it up, I was like, oh my gosh. Because in that green book, and I kept flipping the pages, it kept talking about what to do about every single situation that you'll ever run into when running a business. And the first thing I said to myself was, wait a minute. This has been here all of this time? Why they not coming out and telling us that? Why they not coming to my community and telling me this? I was mad because I felt like the information had been kept away from me. Which, if we look now, that's true all across the board, because our parents or our grandparents weren't aware of what to do to amass money in real estate or how to handle their finances or all of these other things. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like we're first generation learning these things. So we're in a good position now. And over the next several years, all of us will be learning. And part of that new learning, I'm going to tell everyone right now, is Dianetics and Scientology. It's crucial. It will help you handle life.
And I agree with that. You know, as I was listening to you speak, you know, a scripture came up. It's like, seeking you shall find.
Mm-hmm.
And you were seeking, you know, even if it's not the physical, the first thing is, you know, placing your attention on that which you want, or that which you desire, and asking your, you know, I have this thing, ask yourself powerful questions, and your mind is going to search for the powerful answer. So you went to seek, you know, by whatever condition it was, you found what you was looking for.
Yes.
And that's what I definitely want to say. You know, I thank God that Minister Farrakhan brought us in the church, but I found what I was looking for,
yes.
You know, and so I'm grateful for that. And as we're speaking, Bernard, Brother Bernard, what would you say to that person, you know, that say, you know what, wow, maybe I can't, you know, try to look into this. But like you said, when you went to church, hey, I'm pro Jesus, you know, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up what I got going on to go in to study Dianetics and Scientology. It could be a many of reasons. One, fear, you know, but most people feel like they got to give up their religion, give up what they're doing, and you know, and they're not willing to compromise that. What would you say to
that? I would tell everyone who's here, regardless of what your religion is, it doesn't matter, because Dianetics and Scientology has nothing to do with changing your religion. It's a lie, and if anybody told you that, it's a lie.
That's the set the record straight right there.
Yeah, it's just excuse my French, it's bullshit. You know, and sorry guys, I'm to say that, but it is, because I just want to put it to rest, and I'm just tired of hearing it. You know, take the time to investigate it for yourself, but it has nothing to do, and you know, everyone's religious belief is respected in the field of Dianetics and Scientology. No one touches it. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. You have the right to practice whatever you want to practice. But do you want to learn how to communicate better with your wife? Are you interested in learning how to make your business go better? Are you interested in you as an individual person becoming better so you can be create a better community around you? If you're interested in those things, that's what Dianetics and Scientology is going to help you. Dianetics and Scientology is not going to be there. Okay, well, look, we don't need you to go over there and deal with this, your religious practice or whatever the case is. It has nothing to do with that at all. And it's something that's been used for years. And I wish that this interview could be put on a loudspeaker across the world so everyone can see me when I say, oh, it's just, man, get out of here. It's just that's not the purpose of what it's there for. And it has nothing to do with that. Now, the second thing I'm going to say is this. To anyone who might say that, well, really? Well, what you going to do? What you going to do then? You going to sit up there and just keep on living with the problem? You okay with your life the way it is, and you're going to keep making excuses today, tomorrow, to not accomplish your goals, and then make everybody around you bitter because you're not accomplishing your goals? Now you telling everybody else that they can't accomplish theirs. You at least should take 5 minutes out to try it. That's what I would say. You ain't got nothing else. You ain't got nothing to lose, because you sure don't have no other solution. And what they say, what's the definition of what they say in insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that's what 99% of the people, well, let me try this. You know, and I'm like, recently got a girl a Dianetics book she was a veteran. And I asked her this question, and she was telling me, well, they got me on these drugs and they this, that. And I was like, well, has it worked? Well, no, because I keep getting better. Well, why you keep doing it? If you know you're not getting better, why do you keep doing it? When you going to use your own knowingness and your knowledge? You telling yourself it's not right. Well, it may not be right. Trust you a little bit.
And that's the thing. That's the key word, trust you. But we don't know how to, because we've been told what to do for so long that it's actually, it's actually it don't even seem normal to think for yourself in truth, because we actually thinking with what somebody else told us to do, or what somebody else what my mama said, my daddy said, or whoever
what the news said,
what the
what
news
CNN said,
what they say, but when it comes to trusting yourself, is really, really, that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage. And that's what I found with the use of Dianetics and Scientology. It helps to, peel back layers of courage, right? Layers to be yourself. Except the Most High Elijah Muhammad says, accept your own and be yourself. Well, the only way you can be yourself is you have to constantly get to the root of who you are, and not who others have told you are. That has been my experience. And so, brother Bernard, and as we are wrapping this up, and you all that's listening to this, please, Bernard has a business. Brother Bernard has a business development International is right here at the bottom of the screen. Business Development International. You can find him at www.bdiwebsite.com. He is a business consultant. He's an investor, and he has many, many, many tools that he can help one to just do better in life. If you are interested and uses his services, we definitely highly encourage you to do that. And Brother Bernard, before we close out, as one is listening to this podcast, I'm going to ask you two questions. One, is there any other point that you would like to say? And then two, 3 effective solutions that one listening to this points that you want them to walk away with as a result of listening to you, that they can apply in their life now.
It's time for everybody to just knock it off. It's time for everybody to quit making excuses. It's time for you, and when I say you, I'm talking to each individual person here. It's time for you to make it go right. Mm. It's time for you to quit coming up with ideas and excuses of why it should be wrong. And it's time for you. It's your time now. And there's a huge change that's happening now. And everybody feels it. Everybody feels it. The change that's happening now. It's time to get on, start to move. Get on board. Start going after your goals. It really is. Now, Dianetics and Scientology will help you get there. It will. And anyone that's done it will tell you that. And if you ain't done it, okay, go try it. That's it. But other than, if you're not quit, what we got to knock off is not trying it and coming up with reasons and excuses why we shouldn't. You done everything. You done got medicated. You done did drugs. You done, got married. You done, got a better job. You done did all of them things, and you still exactly where you are, unhappy. Mm. Okay? It is what it is. We're not hating on it. As Master P say, charge it to the game. But
to the game.
Yeah, but moving forward, it's really time. It's just time, and the change is happening. And to everyone on this podcast, to everyone that's seen it, quit. Just look at things for yourself. Go do something for yourself and try it for yourself. Quit worried about what people say. And if somebody got something to say, all you got to do is tell them this. Show me a better solution. You got one? And they're going to walk away. They're going to turn their head and put their tail between their legs, and they're going to walk away because they don't have a solution. Because if they had, they would have given it to you. And if they had given you the correct solution, you wouldn't be in the position where you are today, needing and wanting help. So that's the thing. It's time for the change. Things are happening rapidly. And you look at all the change going on in the world today. It's like, you know, people are getting fed up with a lot of stuff. A lot of things that were hidden are now coming out in the light. And believe me, I'm not worried about anything anyone has got to negatively say about Dianetics or Scientology. And the reason why I'm not worried about it is that everybody's going to see the truth. You will. I'm just trying to tell you, get on board now and use it to help your life. Use it to help you to create whatever situation you want to create. It's just time to go because you don't have a better solution. And you done tried everything and it didn't work. That's what I would say to everyone. Just straight up, black coffee, no milk, no sugar.
Look, just set it straight. You know, when you was listening, I know I said I was about to close out, but what came into my mind is the future of Dianetics and Scientology on the planet. You know, what that looks like for us as a culture and becoming the God of our own universe, you know, like, you know, the scripture says ye are all God's children of the most high God, you know, and using the technology of Mr. L. Ron Hubbard has helped me to become a better, what I would say, little God, right? In the Nation of Islam, we're taught this. The technology has helped me. It has helped me and is helping me to become that which I have been taught, right? To know how to do it, make it applicable in my life. And so the last thing, this was not a part of the question, but I do believe that that is one thing that I would like to ask you the question and have you to give your explanation, or not even explanation, viewpoint on, because I hear it a lot that, you know, in Scientology they don't believe in God, right? And so because we are people of God and we believe in God, that can be one of the barriers to keep our culture out of the church.
Yeah, so that's just some more BS. You know, you know, I've never in my plus 25 years in Scientology even gotten into whether or not God exists or praying to God as it relates to me studying Scientology. You know, that's something I've learned in the Christian faith. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen any other Scientologists, and, you know, I've dealt with you and other people from the Nation of Islam. I've never seen another Scientologist come to any one of you all to say, well, your religion is bad, or Allah, or who you're praying to, is screwed up and you shouldn't. That just doesn't exist. But you brought up something, and I'm going to bring it up. Because, you know, you and the Minister Farrakhan represent the Nation of Islam, which is the premier, number one, or probably largest black group, organized black group on the planet. And the purposes of that group are very, very high in terms of helping create a better life opportunity for us as a culture. And the Nation of Islam has had a huge effect on black culture. And it's been attacked. It's probably been attacked worse than Scientology. You know, that's why, you know, what's funny to me is that, you know, I would think that any person from the Nation of Islam, when they see Scientology and see the attacks that Scientology get, they be, oh, well, y'all cool, you know, because we getting attacked too.
Right.
Yeah. Because the nation has gotten attacked 10 times worse than the Church of Scientology has.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But here's the thing I'm going to challenge everyone, whether you're in the Nation of Islam, whether you're a black person, whether you're white. The tools in Dianetics and Scientology can change the world. They can help you to help your community. I mean, if we even look at today in America, the Black community in America, and we look at the number of people that have dedicated themselves to the Nation of Islam and how they're in the middle of our communities, just the technology of study being taught in a mosque is huge. The mosque could charge, fees for teaching, whether you're a Muslim or whoever, how to study using Mr. Hubbard's technology. That would change the Black community. Mr. Hubbard has Criminon, which is a technology to how to, rehabilitate criminals. The Nation of Islam can take that technology, take it to prisons around the nation, around the world, and change prisoners' lives and give them back ethics presence. The business technology that Mr. Hubbard has can be taught in the mosque. So now Black people in that community can come to the mosque and learn how to do business. So it doesn't make any sense to me that the Nation of Islam or any person in the Nation of Islam isn't totally working with the Church of Scientology in terms of help taking this technology that Mr. Hubbard has and bringing it back to the Black community, because it's so effective and it helps. And it flows power back to the mosque, because now the mosque is serving the community, which I think that not only the mosque, but any church can do. Because what people believe in their church. That is one thing about us. We do believe in our church, and we
believe in our churches.
And we look for the solutions. And we look for the solutions in our church. And I've had meetings with Black pastors, and I show them the technology, and they're like, wow. And they love the technology, but they're afraid to bring the technology because they're like, well, what about the criticism? And I'm like, are you worried about the criticism, or are you looking for the effectiveness of changing people's lives? And that's the era that we're in at the moment. People worried about the criticism. But I think that with the positive things that are happening on the planet and the movements that are happening, and the fact that people are getting so tired of not having solutions, that people are now becoming hungrier and hungrier and just want a solution. And they don't care where it comes from.
Oh, and I agree. And let me say this, I'm speaking as myself, right? And a member of the Nation of Islam, as a student follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and having access to this technology, I know it works. And when you was talking about first generation, we first generations in getting this technology. So it's not
first generation.
We're first generations. So it's not going to be easy. And everybody is not going to, this is my viewpoint and experience, everybody is not going to run and get it, because anytime you're bringing something new, it's going to be challenged. It's going to be, it's going to have opposition. But again, it takes persistence, and it takes, becoming a product of the product, right? Becoming a valuable final product. And that's why I love Minister Farrakhan, because Minister Farrakhan sees something beyond what we can even imagine to see. Now it's for anyone, to be able to understand who this man is as a divine man and as a trusted man, to follow him and get the tech to the degree that one wants to, right? And able to get it and bring it back to our community. It wasn't just the Nation of Islam that went in it, from my experience, that went in the Church of Scientology because of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I see Black people now all around the world.
Yes.
They're coming in. Yes. Leaders, like big leaders, right? And they're getting the tech and they're using it around the world, But I gotta say this, it has been my experience that Minister Farrakhan opened that door.
I would say that you're totally correct with that. That was a huge door. He deserves a tremendous amount of credit for opening that door Uh, and you know, we've had discussions about this. So yes, that is, I'm going to validate that is true. And you know, I made a statement to someone very high in a church of Scientology. I was like, look, this man is the only major person of a leader of a major religion in the world that has acknowledged us. He has to be acknowledged.
And we thank him for that.
Yeah.
So yes, Bernard. So thank you so very much. This has been really exciting, enlightening. Right? It's enlightening. I've heard a part of you that I've never heard before. And I just want to say thank you for adding value to the podcast. Thank you for adding value to the culture. And thank you for representing the church, you know, from the Black perspective. You do have a beautiful group on Facebook with Black Scientologists, where people around the world, you know, Black people that's using the technology, they're winning, you know, and they're posting their wins. You're the orchestrator of that group. So I would highly suggest, if it's is it okay? I can tell people to, you know, go join the group, see what's happening. Yeah,
Black
on
Scientologists on Facebook, definitely come on in, and you can see others who are using, you know, who are, and what we do in that particular group is we post, a person may go to a church of Scientology, do a course or do Dianetics, and they post their wins. So it's a great place to post your wins, and you can see how it's positively affecting other people. So yeah, we definitely want that. And we definitely want, you know, what I would say, what I want personally, I just want people to knock it off. I swear to you, it's time. You can't stop what's happening now. They can't. And it's too much power. And this is the thing, this technology is the technology that we've been missing as a culture. And this is the technology that's going to help bring our culture back to what it was. Look at you. I mean, now you've got to do something on the South Africa so they can see the results of what Scientology is doing on South Africa. And so these, you know, your audience can see, you know, see what's happening, see what's going on, you know, and it's amazing. And it's like, no, you know, we're the culture that's going to create the change, and we're creating the change now. And
Absolutely.
And it's happening. More and more people are interested about Dianetics. More and more people are interested about Scientology. More and more people are coming on board. More and more people are talking about it. The gate's open. The gate's open. It is.
When the Saints go marching in, I just want to be in that number, and I'm doing everything that I can.
Well, yeah, you in the number. You
look, make sure I'm a part of, you know, helping to get this technology to our people. Stay pointed, because that's what we're doing, Brother Bernard. You know, is it for the culture? Yes. Yeah. We're stay pointed to let you know, hey, it's all good. It's all good over here, right?
Yeah.
And so, Bernard, as I get ready to close out, what is next for you? What's next for Brother Bernard Fowler?
Wow. So, such a good personal question. But I'll share this with everyone, because I'll be able to come back and look at this and tell everybody I told you so.
Okay.
Right now I'm experiencing some huge growth spiritually and financially. And I'm in the process of some very big dreams and goals of mine coming true. Okay. And for myself, I'm into, outside of the technology of Dianetics and Scientology, my focus is on business or commerce, because I think that there's not much movement, or hasn't been much movement of us as a culturally focusing on social issues. To me, things are more economic. So I'm definitely at the forefront of making sure that our culture understands economics, is doing business and doing commerce, because the issues that we have are money issues, you know. And when you have had these conversations, you know, anything on this planet can be done for you as long as you got the bread, as long as you got the money. Okay. And here in Houston, Texas, I was just literally in this place called Southwest Houston. I was literally driving there 2 days ago. And there are literally 6 banks on one corner in an Asian neighborhood. 6 banks on one corner.
Wow.
Okay. And you don't hear much of from an Asian culture, even though they do have the things that they run into socially, but you don't hear it as much because they're like focusing on making money, and when you got money, you can just do what you want to do and you don't worry about other stuff. You just go out and do what you want to do. So I'm at the forefront of that. I'm working with several high-powered Black influencers now, helping them to become even more powerful to getting the word out about what our culture can do to help themselves. And we're going to go out, we're doing that, and we're just also buying more businesses, buying assets, buying assets that produce income and making those assets much more valuable. So that's my focus, and that's where I'm getting ready to go, and it's big. So
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that I pick you and David up in the jet very, very
okay.
soon.
Look, we ready for it. We ready for it. We with all of that. Okay, if we might be flying side by side, but
no
yeah,
problem. Let's go. No, I'm gonna send the jet for you. I'm gonna send the jet for you.
Send the jet for me. Send the jet for me. Listen, you all, if you are ready for some good business consulting, I highly recommend. I put my stamp of approval on my brother Bernard Bonner. You can contact him at Business Development International, www.bdiwebsite.com.
Or they can find me on. Tell them it's just much easier to call you. Y'all, if y'all want to talk to me, just down.
No, sir. No, sir. They can find you on Facebook. What's your Facebook?
Facebook or Instagram, Bernard Bonner. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Y'all can find my brother right there. I'm gonna pull you in the back. Hold on, and let me go ahead and do the announcements. I thank you so very much. We doing this. The future of Dianetics and Scientology is secure because of people like you. Thank you, Bernard. Hold on, please. So okay. And so, family, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in today and listening to our dear brother Bernard Bonner. As he has given us jewels, we are eradicating generational trauma, drama, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging behavior patterns. And it takes, you got to be fearless in order to confront you. And I can say that as tools, I have used the technology of Mr. L. Ron Hubbard, Dianetics and Scientology, to help me to be better in every area of my life. And what I can say, as a result, I am successful. And so with that being said, here's an announcement that we are truly, truly excited for. We have this coming up, as you heard us talk about relationships and building relationships and being able to help make the family as a business. We have this beautiful retreat that's coming up August 2nd through the 5th, 2024, Building Relationships, Mother, Daughter, Father, Son in Orlando. We ask that you go ahead and lock it in today. We're now taking deposits, and we do have a payment plan so that you can get the effective tools to ensure that your future is secure in running your family as a business, building bonds, closing the gaps between the mother, daughters, father, son in Orlando, Florida, with Brother David and Sister Nayyirah. And by the way, y'all, we in the winter season, we do have these beautiful sea moss gummies. If you do not have your sea moss, which is 102 trace minerals, we do have bladderwrack and burdock in these sea mosses. We highly suggest that you go to our website today and get your sea moss gummies. Okay. And last but not least, if you do not have the book, The Repair of the Black Family, which have 33 powerful authors telling our stories, lessons learned with effective solutions, 99 suggested effective solutions that you can apply. I, Sister Nayyirah, as the visionary author, say that this is the healing balm to the family unit. So we highly suggest that you go to Amazon, get your book, and you can go to www.repairoftheblackfamily.com. Again, we want to thank you so very much for tuning in. You can always support Heal on Purpose podcast right here at your donations. You can give a donation to the Heal on Purpose podcast. You can cash app us at $family repair, or and PayPal us at paypal.me/Heal on Purpose 19. Oh, and by the way, before I close this out, because I am going to close this out, I'm truly excited. We are kicking off our leadership and development program for the 2024 Sister Nayyirah. If you have not been coached by me, it is your time. Okay, we have our leadership and development program that we're now implementing in the coaching. So you definitely want to contact your sister at www.repairoftheblackfamily.com and join my community. And I want to thank you all so very much for listening. And until the next time, peace and love. Heal on Purpose.